Okay, June precinct number, please.
5. Were you able to see a screen?
I was, and then I was told that I couldn't stand there.
I don't know if you all agree, but we might as well be sitting downtown all talking to each other down there because we really have no idea what they're doing.
We probably are not going to really update the media or anything until about 3 o'clock.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I would like to show the canvassing board the statute. I was asked for the statutory authorization. The inspectors or other election officials shall, at all times while the ballots are being counted, allow as many as 3 persons near to them to see whether the ballots are being correctly read and called and the votes correctly tallied. And any official who denies this privilege or interferes therewith is guilty of a misdemeanor of the 1st degree.
So can we have 3 people from the audience who want to observe that? I would prefer to have Sarasota County voters.
Excluding media.
I prefer to have somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Are you excluding media from observing?
No.
Yes. No.
I said I would prefer because I'm the supervisor of all of the voters of Sarasota County. I said I would
but does
prefer that. It does not say she can't do it.
the slaughter statute?
No, we're going to choose
Have you observed from behind the machines where they're doing that?
Yes.
So you've got full access around the machine now? Okay.
I think it's great the public is involved in this process because it's obvious that the people here are having an effect on how this is being conducted, that there wasn't a complete awareness of election law by the people here doing the recount.
Good job.
We're not sure. We just want to make sure that this recount goes smoothly, it's finished on time, and that all the votes are counted.
I would like to tell the media.
Tell the media. I asked for 3, 4 times. This is the 5th time. Please, we want a break for lunch.
I would like to tell the media what just happened here, please. We were told that they were going to go, and we pointed out one precinct to them, precinct 85. We were told that they would not pull that precinct specially, and that they were going to go through the normal process. I just saw a man with a recount tag on walking, looking at all the machines, and I asked him what he was looking for, and he said he was looking for precinct 85. I would like to know why they're looking for precinct 85 when we were told they were going to go through the normal process, and now we're being told to leave for lunch.
Ms. Pynchon, you just found out what?
I'm just absolutely astounded that we just found out, and I'm going to confirm this with the canvassing board, that when they're opening every one of these voting machines, and I'll stand here so you can see the machines behind me, as they're opening these voting machines, they are not recording the seal numbers that are coming off the machine. They're just throwing them in the plastic bag, which has all kinds of other seals in it. This is absolutely, if this is true, this absolutely, in my mind, invalidates this entire process.
The collecting process again, where I insert the PED.
Now, has she given you an answer yet on your statute? I think they were looking.
No, I think they're discussing it.
Okay.
All right. Now, for example...
Are you hearing anything over the loudspeaker?
Okay, we're going to reconvene. The canvassing board is going to reconvene. And we have a request from the Department of State of the vendor. So we're going to come over here and sit down. This is Linda Bennett from the Election Systems and Software. Can you hear now? As a part of the audit process, which is separate from the recount process, the Department of State has asked for the election parameters to be turned over to Election Systems and Software so that they can also assist in the audit process. What I have done is drafted a contract that we're requiring ES&S to sign, indicating that they will not release any of the data and unless expressly given permission by the canvassing board. And I'm asking the representative from the Election Systems and Software to sign that contract. She's here with the authority to go ahead and do that so that we can give the parameters of the election to ES&S to assist with the audit process. So at this time, we're going to sign those contracts.
Are those copies?
I'd like to oppose that until I've had a chance to read the contract myself. And at the same time, this will be taking place in what part of the schedule of what we're doing?
Again, it has nothing to do with the recount. We're going to continue with the recount. This is a part of the audit process that was requested by the Department of State, which, as I announced this morning, the Department of State has started some preliminary observations and investigation into the conduct of the election, and they have asked that we include the vendor as well.
I think my objection at this time, we're saying the Secretary of State or the Department of State? Secretary of State for the state of Florida. Okay, well, okay, I always knew him as Secretary of State. I still would like to, read the contract, have some time, bring it back at a future time, not, within, say, the next hour, and then I'll be ready to vote on it. I want to see, what we're turning over as responsibility. I believe as one canvassing board member, it's our call to a point, and until I feel comfortable with that, I'll keep that authority at least as one vote.
I concur, Commissioner. I'd like to review the contract that has been presented, and then maybe we can have questions if we have any after we review that. All right, so we'll do that. All right, Ms. Pynchon, there was a serious objection that needed to be raised. So
first, I would like it on the record that just before we broke for lunch, there was a gentleman with a recount team tag on wandering amongst all the voting machines. And I asked him what he was looking for, and he said he was looking for precinct 85. That precinct had been requested specifically from the Supervisor of Elections to be looked at today, and she had responded that they could not go out of order, that when they got to it, they would note it. But he said he was looking for that precinct. So I just wanted to make note of that. And secondly,
as everyone that was present heard me announce this morning, when we got to precinct 85, there was a group of observers that wanted to specifically look at that. Bobby and he asked one of the gentlemen on his team to go and put a piece of paper on number 85 to make sure that we were able to alert the observers. That was the sole purpose of it. If you'd like to have Bobby Walker come over, and he's in charge of the team, and I'm going to just turn it over to him for a minute.
Yes, when Ms. Dent asked that when we got to precinct 85, that there was some observers wanted to watch it. We were strictly looking for that precinct in the group so we could put a piece of paper on it.
They're not, that they're just being put in those plastic bags.
Okay, when we picked up the equipment, or when the election was over, election night, the poll workers sealed the equipment. They logged all the seals on a custody sheet, and 2 people verified with initials that those were the seal numbers. When we physically went and picked the machines up and brought them back, we physically looked at each seal and the machine number, and 2 people initialed that. They're in here at that right now. We're not logging them as we're taking them off, but we're cutting them, putting them in the precinct bag, that all the broken seals from that precinct are in this bag. So if there's a question or anything, we can go back in that bag and pull the seals that were actually used in that precinct.
I would just like to point out why that is a completely insecure process. Let's just say that a voting machine came back election night and was opened that night. The seal was cut and it's put in that plastic bag. Now you go back and say, I'd like to see the seal number that was on it when we did the recount. And they pull out, how do we know which seal number Does this make sense? Which seal number they're pulling out? The state's technical advisory, which has the weight of law, says that these are supposed to be recorded. The fact that they're not is a problem, because we have to know these machines supposedly have not been open since election night. And the way that we know that is by recording the seal numbers as they come off the machines. Otherwise, the public does not know why all those people were coming and going out of this warehouse this weekend.
I think, from my perspective, that we could do that from this point forward, and we'll do that. It's my vote as member of the Canvassing Board. Commissioner, do you have an objection to that, Mrs. Dent? By unanimous decision, we will now, from this point forward to any of the machines, we will have the seal number being recorded and keep that as we go throughout the rest of the machines. Okay.
May the public see a copy of the contract so we can be looking at it while you're looking?
And the request has been that can the public see a copy of the contract that we are observing at this time, and I have no objection to that, so we'll make that available.
Can I have a staff member come over here and make, how many copies, how many out there want a copy? One, count, Tom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10.
Make 10 copies. Bobby, you need to instruct your team on the sheet that you have to go ahead and record the seal number as well and initial it. And we also have available copies of the custody sheets that we have from election night, and you will be able to compare that seal number on this custody sheet with the seal number on the one that the poll workers signed off on election night and brought them back here. We also, well, that's the way we'll do it.
We'll handle it that way, and I guess the next step, if we have some machine recordings, not all the media I think is back. I'm not sure if they're coming back for that, but I know one gentleman was. We might wait a few minutes longer. They were all going to lunch, and then we'll do the reading of the tapes for everyone, and then we'll continue to proceed with the new procedure after they've been instructed as to what needs to happen.
Do you want to see how we're going to do this?
Yes. Let's come over and if you would, please.
We're going to utilize the same sheet that we are presently using and have used this morning. And what we're going to do is under return seal, write down the seal number adjacent to the serial number of the Ivotronic that is being broken off of the seal. And then we will have both the collector and the lifter, which are the two people, initial next to that they have broken the seal. The seal will be placed inside the bag.
What Karen's showing now is what she's just described the process will be, and she'll let you all take a look at that.
We're going to document the seal that was broken right here, and the two people will initial it. They will document that the seal was broken. Two people will initial it. The seal will be inserted inside the bag. And then when we reattach the new seal after the unit has been recollected, we will document the new seal. Of course, all this is adjacent to the serial number of the unit, so it matches.
So, okay, and that's the precinct number.
That's correct.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So, and again, that's the old seal numbers will be recorded.
That's what came back from election night until now, which we already have another sheet that already has this information where two people have already initialed that they attached it.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is showing us that these hasn't been touched since then. Thank you so much. Okay.
Does everybody understand? That way it will be on the same sheet of paper.
So the
So your chain of custody is intact.
The new seal goes, and the old seal number's gotta be written
Your
down.
new seal will be here. Your
Return
seal that
seal.
you're breaking will be on here. Will be, because of the form that it's
Right.
designed to use for election, it will be under
Is David
election
Drury
board.
here,
Great.
please,
Okay.
So much.
from the division?
Beautiful.
Mr. Drury is the individual from the Bureau of Voting Systems Certification that made the request for us to turn over, and I'll let him explain exactly what that request was and what it was for.
I brought up the issue, why should we sign this agreement? It's our election, of course, we're going to do the recount, but why should the canvassing board sign this agreement authorizing ES&S to have this parameter? What are we giving up as a canvassing board in doing that?
Again, ES&S has made the request, and the request is to obtain your election definition and your PXT files. What they want to do is take a look at to see if there was any problems with the coding or with the coding in conjunction with the firmware version that's being deployed here in Florida. See if there's any anomalies, latent issues. Yes, it is an audit process.
Thank you. The agreement is to protect the canvassing board from ES&S releasing any of this data because it is, they're going to be looking at it, but they cannot use this data. They cannot release this data to anyone. It is just a copy of what we have, and it's a copy of what the Department of State has, and we're using ES&S to help us identify if there could be any problems with the equipment. I would think that everyone would be in agreement that we make sure we're doing the audit from the Department of State, we're having the vendor take a look at it. It has nothing to do with the recount or the results. It's only to investigate if there could be some equipment problems, which I think everyone wants to be as clear as possible if there have been any equipment problems. That's the reason I asked the Department of State to conduct the audit, and we want to cover all of our bases. Issue or objection or notation? Okay.
This is a recount, a public recount of citizens' votes in Sarasota County. The audit was advertised, I believe, as starting on Wednesday or a different day. I'm not a computer scientist, so I do need to go and get backup opinion on this, but my first impression is that if you allow the vendor in to be, all it says is, the only thing it says is number 20, is the only thing where it's saying what they're actually going to do. I'm just gotten this copy, so in other words, it seems as though the recount should be completed with the software intact, the system intact, the equipment that was used election night, and then when the recount is done, if they want to do an audit, and again, I apologize, I'm not a computer scientist, but I'd like to go make some phone calls because I don't know exactly what the vendor's intending to do. It just says provide consulting services in the recount of the November 7th election. What are those, what are they going to be doing?
They are not providing any services. They're here to observe our recount. We have a process that is prescribed by law. We are continuing through with that process. They have no access to any of our equipment or any of our ballots. They're only going to be looking internally at the way we programmed the election to see if there are any anomalies that they can see. It's not going to have anything to do with the recount or with the manual recount. It's a separate process altogether.
If there are anomalies in this election, then we should know it in this recount. They shouldn't be able to come in and fix the anomalies. That's part of what this process is showing. Again, I'm going to go, I don't know why this would take away any of the power of the canvassing board and why this requires a contract and why the vendor should be involved in this process of going into the software while a recount is in process.
The canvassing board has not made that determination yet. That's why the commissioner and I want time to review and have questions answered our own self. So we're not going to say that this contract is not signed at this time. We wanted you to be aware of it. We wanted you to understand it. You have copies of it. We're going to review it. We're going to make a determination as a board if we're going to go forward with this agreement or not.
I just want to make it perfectly clear. What they are requesting is a copy of the election definition and the PXD files. A copy, not the original.
I have to say, some of you are here with an agenda and you're disrupting the system. A couple of you are playing ping pong with us. I refuse to play ping pong. We have a recount to get done, so let's get the recount done, and once we have the recount done, I'm willing to talk with anybody once I understand what we've done with the recount. That's how I feel, Madam Chair. We're already played, 15 minutes since we started this conversation with questions that have nothing to do with the recount.
I would like to make a statement. And first statement would be that I consider the statement just made to be a bit offensive, given the fact that this is the public's election, it's not your election, and given the fact that we have a right to know that it's being done properly, and we, the public, at least I for myself, especially coming from a background in computer software design and software quality assurance, I cannot conceive of any reason why it would be necessary before this recount has been completed to give to ES&S on a non-disclosure basis the definition files for them to be doing reverse engineering. I mean, sure, somebody probably needs to know this, but there's no election that's going to be held in the next 2 days. I would urge you to please not sign this agreement until this process is completed and is out of your hands completely.
I think from the position of the canvassing board, our intent was to not immediately sign it. This is the first myself and the commissioner have had a chance to look at it. We certainly aren't going to sign anything until we have that opportunity. What I do think is that the proceedings need to be recommenced under the new procedures that have been enacted once everyone has been aware of those, and let's start those procedures at this time. We're all in agreement with that. All right, let's do that then. Thank you.
The recount has virtually nothing to do with this except for the fact that there's tremendous undervote. Okay, the undervote is the issue, but recount can't catch the undervote. So we're kind of going through a situation where why in the world they would need to have that before the recount is completed makes no sense to me at all.
Now, we have precinct 85. We're going to do precinct 85 here so everyone can observe. Ms. Pynchon, would you like to come over here?
Precinct 85. Cutting the seal.
The Ivy still has on here printing because normally an election would print 2 tapes automatically, but we're not doing that because we're paper conservative, and so the machine still does that, so it would be printing on the communication pack. Okay, now it says, do I want to print another tape? No, I do not. It says turn the selector switch off, which I knew it was going to say, so I already did. Press the screen to continue, so I pressed it. Do I want to recollect this terminal? No, I do not, so I press no. The machine now tells me to please remove my PEB. Recollection was not chosen. I removed the PEB. I'll put the autotronic back into the case. I disconnect the printer.
Seal on the case. Locked and work only.
Now is get the canvassing board to read the total from precinct 85.
Okay, precinct 85, 153 for Buchanan, 193 for Jennings, 93 undervotes.
I knew that.
Is it the ES&S contract?
Yeah.
Did they sign the contract?
No, they're not going to.
But that one looks signed.
Kathy Dent signed it, but she wanted the rest of the canvassing board to sign it, and they've refused. They're not going to let ES&S do the audit until after the recount.
Right.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, you think that would have happened if there wasn't a lot of observers here?
Nope. I mean, well, we don't know, do we? We can never determine intent.
The machines are checking out so far accurately?
I don't know, we haven't compared them. What we're doing, Ray, is we're printing out, we're actually recollecting votes.
Quite a day. It's been quite a day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do it a third time from the results and see that to make sure that it wasn't just.
When you watch human error,
Right.
the machines always count better than humans.